Hey everyone, so this is my day one video for the free course that I'm taking with Molly Cubes. First of all, shout out to Molly, you're such a badass and I'm so inspired by it, and thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone to do this today. So today I'm just going to talk about some breakthroughs that I've had, some situations that I've gone through in my life that have brought me to the point where I am today, and some of the reasons why I teach yoga and why I want to do what I'm working on. So basically a big breakthrough or turning point in my life was my late teens. So I was drinking a lot, I was doing drugs, I was involved in a relationship with Mike, who is still my current partner today, but our relationship was very different. It was very toxic, manipulative, unhealthy. We struggled a lot with fighting, and I struggled personally a lot with being very attached to him. So I was a young girl, and I do know now where that stemmed from. So I definitely had some issues around fear of abandonment and not being loved, and not being lovable, basically. So I would do everything in my power to stay with him and be with him and make him happy, even if it meant doing things that didn't feel right to me, or doing things just to make him happy, basically. So as you could probably imagine, that wasn't very healthy. We were drinking 2 to 4 times a week and doing drugs. I suffered from anxiety. Mike suffered from anxiety and depression very severely. And we went through times where, well, basically I struggled because Mike was addicted to drugs at one point, and an alcoholic. So I was struggling with that as well, because I was always by his side and trying to support him through all that as well. So it was very taxing on myself too. And there were times in his life where he was in a really dark place, to the point where he wanted to end his life and tried multiple times. So I was there for a couple of those as well, which was very hard on me too, and my emotional state, considering I wasn't very emotionally stable myself. I'm not going to go into too much details about that, because I feel like that's Mike's story to share, and it's a very inspiring one as well, so I'll leave it at that. So basically there was one time that Mike was very unhappy, and he had been on a binge for a couple days, and he decided that that was the day he didn't want to be here anymore. So long story short, he tried to end his life then, was unsuccessful, and that night something shifted for him greatly. So I still to this day don't know exactly what that was, but he knew that this was it, and if he wanted to continue living, that he needed to make a major shift in his life. And since then, we have both been on the path of our spiritual healing and have come an enormous way since then, which was almost 10 years ago now, which is crazy to think about. So some of the deepest lessons that I've learned from that experience is, number one, you have a choice. I learned that I did not have to live that way. I did not have to be anxious. I did not have to go day by day drinking and being unhappy and living a life that we're almost led to believe is normal. So that was one of the biggest lessons there, is that I had a choice and I could do something about it. So I did. Another thing is that change is possible. That was a huge lesson. I always thought that people maybe were born the way they were, and that was just it. That's who they were, and that was the end of the story. But from watching Mike and myself, I learned that anything is possible, and that change is possible even in the most darkest of times. So that was really a really big lesson for me, and really big inspiration for me. And tough love. That was a big lesson for me, that sometimes tough love is necessary, and sometimes it's exactly what you need in life to move forward and get past some things. So those are some big lessons, and those are some of the things that have led me to be teaching yoga, which is what I do right now. So that's basically the biggest thing that I offer is yoga at the moment. And I think one of the reasons why I do that and teach it is because it was one of the first things that I got involved in once the shift took place for Mike and I. So one of our friends took us to our first hot yoga class not long after all that happened, and I hated it at first. I absolutely hated it, probably because shit came up and I had to look at it and I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable, but I always left feeling a sense of peace, and for some reason I just kept going back. So yeah, that's probably why I focus so much on teaching yoga at the moment, although I do know there are other avenues that I want to go down and other areas that I could definitely be of service to people from sharing my life experience and the things that I have learned and different tools that you can use. And I would say that the biggest reason why I do what I do and how my experience had an impact on what I do is because I know that there are so many people out there that want to transform their lives that they just don't know how or where to start, or they feel like it's impossible. So I want to show people that it's real and that they can do it, and that they're not alone, and that we're human beings, so most of us want to live in a community where we have support, and you don't have to do things on your own. You don't. So yeah, that's pretty much what the big breakthrough for me was, and what kind of kick-started my healing, and is part of the reason why I am looking to do what I do and looking to expand my offerings as well. So thank you for everybody for tuning in and listening to my story and what I have to say. And I'm looking forward to hearing from the other beautiful ladies. Have a good day.